Hello and welcome to your midweek podcast here on Four Lads Had a Dream. My name's Andrew and I'm joined tonight by two of my very favourite podders, Kenny and Sheryl. Always a pleasure to talk to you guys, and we have a new signing to discuss. We asked for Rangers to give us some news to talk about and they've delivered. Clearly someone out there likes me. So we have officially now signed Joe Rothwell on a 3-year deal. Following a loan spell at Leeds, he has a relationship with Russell Martin from his spell at Southampton. He is a number 8 central midfielder, and it's a permanent option for an undisclosed fee. Apparently, Sheryl is a dead ball specialist as well. So we've got a right back, and now we've got a dead ball specialist as well. You'd almost think it was a certain player we were trying to replace or something.
I don't know who you're talking about. Good evening, Andrew. It's lovely to be with you. I've not seen you for a very long time, so I'm glad that you're back. I know a dead ball specialist. He might be taking over from said certain player that you might be, I don't know, referring to. Very, very exciting. I think the way that he speaks of Russell Martin and his relationship with him, it sounds really, really promising. I have also done a wee bit of research, not scared of a tackle, excellent ball player. And from what I heard, I think it's a 2-year contract, but with the option of a 3rd year, should it go well for us. So very, very exciting. And again, you don't know how much to read into it, but apparently turned down interest from La Liga as well. So a really, really exciting signing and exactly what we're looking for as well. I think for me, someday, I know he's 30 years old. We always speak about the player trading model, but we've seen from last season, we need players that can come in, be a wee bit metal and hit the ground running. So I'm really excited by this. And also he has fabulous hair, which for me it should be the kind of basis, sorry, Kenny, that all our signings are made on. And he has a beard. So yeah, sold.
There we go. Sheryl, this is why I always like having you on. I get informed about the player's hair as well. I never get that from Kenny for some reason. And he's a barber, so he should be a specialist in this kind of stuff. Shocking lack of effort from him, really. Kenny, this is obviously a good, promising signing, an experienced signing as well. Someone who would be, a good potential partnership with Raskin potentially in the centre of the park if Raskin's staying. So, as Sheryl says, we do need that player trading model. We want to be getting young talent. We want to get players we can develop. But you cannot win the league just on that alone. You need to have that experience as well. So this looks like a smart addition for me.
Yeah, I think it is too. And he mentioned the experience he has in his interview on Rangers TV. And he mentioned it 2 or 3 times. So I think he is very much here because of the experience he has. He's got a number of games in the Championship. It must be kicking 250, something like that. He's made his kind of name at Blackburn, where I think he said he had played at Ibrox in a game I think I was at, and I think it ended up, if I remember right, it ended up 1-0 or 1 each. I can't remember. But he's a decent player. I'm fortunate enough. I watched a lot of Leeds last season. And I wouldn't say he was an absolute standout or anything like that because they had a number of cracking players. But he is a good centre midfielder, mate. He's going to do well for us, I would think. And we need numbers in the middle of the park. So of that, there's no doubt. I think we were a wee bit short last season. And I think when you look at Nico Raskin and Diomande at times last season, they would kind of fizzle out of the game a little bit at times, and that could be a lot to do with perhaps the way we played it sometimes, but for me, he's a dominating midfielder and we've lacked that for a long time, and I'm quite excited about this one without going overboard about it because I don't think it's that star name or anything like that, but this I think this boy will be a decent player. He's very experienced and he's very wise, and he's prone to get a goal or two as well, and his all-round game is pretty decent. So I'm really looking forward to watching this guy because he looks right up for it and really excited to be here. So welcome aboard.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, it's good. We want about 10 more new signings, but still, nonetheless, this is still a good start for us. So. Yeah, all positive news. Again, all comes down to how he actually performs on the pitch, but we'll hopefully have an opportunity to see that in just a few days. first friendly's coming up on Sunday. Before we move on the agenda, I'd like to welcome Lee Wood, who's joined us as a member. I'm always going to plug this, but I'll plug it again. We would love to have you guys sign up as members for the YouTube channel. It helps us grow. It's going to help put some cash towards us doing some live shows out in the world, hopefully this and next year. And, it helps the pods stand out more as well. We've got members, if we've got subscribers, it makes us look more, serious to Rangers when we go to them for press passes, for access to players, to managers, everything. And of course, the most important thing is you can get the stickers as well, because I have to plug the stickers. We got, in fact, it's disturbingly themed tonight. We've got Sheryl drinking, we've got Kenny drinking, we've got me drunk, but not drinking. I know. So please sign up if for the stickers, if nothing else. But seriously, it helps us grow. So thank you very much for signing up, and appreciate our new members. So let's move on to some more of the kind of rumoured signings. We have Fernandez from Peterborough, 23-year-old centre-back, 30 appearances, 5 goals, an XG of 1.29, Sheryl. Thank you for pulling together the stats, by the way. I appreciate that.
Yeah, do you know what? I'm kind of old school, so that XG stuff means nothing to me, but I know it will mean something to somebody out there, so that's why that went in my collection of stats. No, I believe that Norwich were looking at him in January, and again, we keep kind of kicking the backside out of it, but he absolutely fits that player trading model. Young, we want him in there, maybe look to a couple of good seasons out of him and then move him on and make a wee bit of a profit from him. So I think he's exactly what we should be looking for at the moment. And we know that we need work with the centre backs as well, that we're starting to put that together now. So yeah, I think that looks really promising.
No, for sure. And Kenny, I mean, one of the things that we've been talking about since, January has been we need to get some more centre backs in. And again, we don't know too much about him, but on paper at least, it's the kind of player who's the model that we're looking to develop here. Young, potential, hopefully got the space to develop into a real prospect.
Yeah, we've been linked with a couple, haven't we? And we've been linked with 2 or 3 in the last few days, actually. But look, whoever it is that ends up coming, I'm quite excited by the names that we're being linked with all of a sudden. I actually think that I was all doom and gloom the other night. I really didn't. Wasn't at my best, put it that way, when it came to being positive about things. But all of a sudden, I'm just looking at it, and without going into the individuals, when you consider Connor Cody, you consider the 2 young boys that we are being linked with at the centre half, all of a sudden, you can tell that there's a bit of squad building going on, and I think that's more, for me, exciting than any individual, because whoever it may be, we will get linked with hundreds upon hundreds of names. We know that. However, this guy does look decent. He really does, and we shall wait and see how this all unfolds over the next few days or next week, perhaps. But I'm really quite, all of a sudden, quite taken by, as I say, the kind of path and trajectory that we're going through, down, because it was very quiet last week and I expected more. And so this week, we really do seem to start, to have started to motor. And that for me is all you can look at and say, well, thanks, Dil. But however, that's what I mean. That it's just one of these things that, the boy for Chelsea, the boy from Wolves, all these guys that look really, the potential is massive in some of these kids. And if we're getting them up here, even if it's just in a loan or whatever, it's really quite exciting to see that there is an actual kind of pattern to the play that we're trying to pan out here and play with, where they've identified these guys and it's coming to fruition to a certain degree with the way that they're actually going to, plan this. And Yeah, as I say, I don't want to sit there and get too excited about any individuals, but the boy you're talking about, he's a fine player, so that'll be exciting if it does come.
No doubt. Couple of comments I want to go through. Not the one about Sheryl and school teachers. It's inappropriate. Any news on the Israeli striker? As far as I know, our interest in Dortmund is still there. It's still ongoing. I don't know if it's dependent on potentially moves out before we can get players in, because we will have to spend for them. But yeah, as far as I know, the interest is still there. Paul says that we need a right winger. We're going to come on to talk about one in just one moment. Don't you worry. And I completely agree with this as well. I've seen both training videos that the club's put out now, and the players look ruined after every single one of them, which is good, because it's been a constant theme of the past couple of seasons where we just haven't looked fit enough, especially towards the end of the games. And that should never be the case for Rangers. We should always be the fittest possible team out there, especially domestically. So yeah, I completely agree with that, Macca. Let's talk about a left-footed right winger, David Brooks from Bournemouth. Again, thank you to Sheryl for pulling together all the stats. 209 appearances, 28 goals, 35 caps for Wales. So a Welsh winger. Goody. That's never gone badly for us in the past. 5 goals for Wales as well. And had Hodgkin lymphoma in 2022. So, I know Rangers like to pick up someone with an injury history, but that's a little bit more serious than your typical kind of dodgy knee, Sheryl.
Yeah, I've seen that. I think he's a fan's favourite down there, particularly for that reason. The way that he's come back, he's fully fit, he's contributing, and this might just be what Andrew Stewart needs to get him over his other right winger, or his left winger, sorry, over his Matondo thing. So this might be good for Andrew as well, for us as well. But yeah, I think his stats look quite decent. And again, he's somebody that I think we could get in, we can make a wee profit from. I think it's really exciting. I've seen the kind of comments earlier on that, these players maybe 23 odds aren't particularly young, and I take that. But when you look at the current ages of our squad, maybe aside from guys like Nsiala, we do have an older squad. That's an issue that we have, and we have had that historically as well. So I think even if we can bring the age of the squad down slightly, I think we'll be doing well.
No, for sure. Kenny, it gives us another option. It's an area, and we say this, all of the areas of the pitch need strengthening at the moment, but nonetheless, it's still going to be a key component, especially if the Russell Martin kind of style of play is to press high and be on the attack. You're going to need good wingers for that.
We need wingers, full stop, mate. We're really short of them, apart from perhaps Cortez, Matondo, and Ross McCausland. That we don't have any. And Oscar Cortez, I beg your pardon, has had his injuries. We know that. Rabbi Matondo won't do, and Ross McCausland had a poor season last season. So you'd like to see him kick on if he's staying, but whether he does or not is open to, debate, as it were. But for me, I'll tell you one thing I do like about this boy. He's a good player. I've seen a fair bit of him actually over the time, and he is a very tidy football player. And I think he's, put it this way, right? We might be a far bigger club than Bournemouth, but they've got a cracking squad of players. They really do. So he is one of those guys that's flitted in and out of that team over the last season there, and he's done a fine job for them. There's just no getting away from that. And if this is true, I'd be really excited about that, because I could see him coming up here and tearing it up a little bit. And as I say, I'm not trying to get carried away, and I don't want to sound too deflated either with certain things. But at the same time, for this particular boy, I've seen plenty of him, and he's an exciting player. He's got an end product. He's very tricky. He's got pace. He cuts inside, exactly what we need to break down this low block that we play a lot. You want guys that can beat a man. You want a guy that can come inside and get extra bodies in there at the edge of the box. So if this one is real, then that's really exciting for me. That's a Premier League level football player that you're bringing in. And that's the other thing that I would say when you're looking at some of the guys that we are bringing in. There's an awful lot of winners. There's an awful lot of experience, even at a young age. There's a lot of experience in the players that they're bringing in. And as I say, people might moan that, it's, Brooks isn't this guy, but there's a lot of League One or Championship players. But look at the level that they've actually played at personally for a start, and then look at most of them have been winning leagues, and most of them have been winning on a regular basis, and that's kind of what you want to see, is that experience and that winning mentality coming in. So I'm really quite excited, as I say, with the news and the revelations over the last couple of days. Really delighted with it.
Definitely, mate. Yeah, I mean, it's early days, unfortunately. We want all the signings to have happened now already, but the market does not work like that, unfortunately. A couple of comments I want to address. First of all, from Anna Roberts, is the Brooks interest concrete? Yes, I believe it is. We've got kind of hints that we are definitely looking at this guy. It's Rangers. We're going to be looking at a lot of players, but there is definitely interest in him. Stephen Jackson says, just get Journey back, 5.5 million. Wolfsburg are asking for 9 million quid for him. So that's going to be a bit tricky. That'd be the second highest signing that Rangers have ever made if we went out to get him. I think that's going to be tricky for us to do. I know the 49ers have got money, but I don't know if they're prepared to splash around that much. So we'll see. See how it goes. If they don't manage to sell him, then it's going to be a thing. Big Rod, thank you so very much for gifting 10 Rangers podcast memberships, Full Lads memberships. That means that 10 lucky people in the chat can now use this sticker of Andrew Stewart. It's beautiful. Well, I mean, there's exclusive interviews as well. You got first run access to, our Stephen Naismith interview, our documentaries, and behind the scenes bits that we've done are all available first and exclusive to the members before they go out public. But the stickers are, for me, the most important thing. So thank you very much for that, mate. Appreciate it. Let's move on. Another fantastically named player, fellow Asgard, a Luton midfielder. He's Norwegian, Sheryl. I don't know anything about his hair. I'm going to ask you to clarify that. But stats-wise, looks pretty interesting. And I know 23 is not young, but it's younger.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you know, I believe he can play either as a number 8 or as a number 10. And we've seen last season how we kind of struggled to get a proper nailed down 10. We had Lawrence. We sometimes used Danilo there. We put Diomande in there. I think everybody had a shot in there at some point. So if we could have somebody that actually played that role, if that's how Russell Martin wants to play with a 10, then I think he looks excellent. Again, this has come from our esteemed leader, hasn't it? We got a heads up about this from Stevie. I believe he qualifies for Norway through his dad and was actually at Liverpool Youths and has played, I think, was it in the Euros for Norway as well. He scored against a 5-0 victory against Moldova. So again, he has experience, signed for 3 million from Wigan in January. So he's not actually been with Luton for too long. But again, from what I could find out about him, he's had rave reviews from his time down in Luton as well. So again, somebody that'd be really, really exciting to get in.
No, for sure. And Kenny, I mean, again, fits that model, right? I don't know if it's just 23-year-olds we're targeting or it's just that age range, but we seem to be hitting that pretty reliably. And again, another exciting player to be linked with.
Absolutely. And yet again, plenty of experience in the Championship and League One. Played a lot of games. And I believe the Norwegian national manager, whose name escapes me offhand, has actually came out quite publicly recently and said that he wanted him to be playing at a higher level. Didn't want him playing in League One. He thought he was far better than that, and it might jeopardise his national team place if he was to stay there. So I kind of get that, but I'll be fair and say I haven't seen huge amounts of him, but at the same time, having done a little bit of research over the last couple of hours there, yeah, he looks very tidy, and by all accounts, having looked through a little bit of stuff, apparently he's a very, very confident young lad. So I like that. I always like that in a football player, and you'll need it coming up here. So yeah, I'm really quite, as I say, I'm going to go repeat myself again, but I'm genuinely quite excited about the profile that we're looking at. And obviously, as I say, there might be a bit of criticism coming Rangers' way for exactly where the pool is, because it is in that one particular market at this minute in time. But I don't believe that's going to be the case all the way through this window. And it says a lot when you're looking at guys like that perhaps the likes of Kieran Dowell and Bayrami and players like this will not be featuring at all. Now, we don't expect them to anyway, don't get me wrong. However, that it does get the whiff about it that they've went, no, we need new players and a different profile. And I'm, again, looking forward to it, because I think when you look at some of these boys in that league, if you could fill your team full of Joe Aribos and, using another one from another side of the city, the Matt O'Reillys, if there's a big pile of them coming in, you'll have one to watch. Now, they're not all going to work. Not every signing's going to be perfect for you. However, as I say, they seem to have looked right into the kind of profile that they're actually looking for, and we'll see where it comes and where it goes to from here. But I'm genuinely, again, on that name alone, I'm looking at it, giving it, he's done quite well. He's fit. He's always fit. Played a lot of games, as I say. So yeah, bring it on, and if we can bring him in, and as I say, I think it was pointed out in the chat, wasn't it, that his dad is following Rangers and all that kind of stuff, as you say. But might be something in it then, mate. You never know.
Look, I just follow who Stevie's following, because that means it's definitely real. I'm pretty sure that's what the Daily Record do as well. So, that just means we've got guarantees of who's signing. A couple of bits to talk about just in terms of news. I'm not expecting any major comments on them. Sal Bibbo has been confirmed as the goalkeeper coach in from Sheffield Wednesday. So that's good. We actually have one now. Again, just another one of those boxes to tick. That's good to have him in place. Question from the chat. Any news on Igaman? Believe that interest is still ongoing. There are talks still happening with Lille. Rangers want 17 million euros for him. I believe that's the figure that's out there. There's nothing official yet. There's no official bids in, but they're going to be having talks with the player. And for the player, for us as well, a move would make sense if it's around that amount of money. For a player that we've only had for a year, that'd be huge. And so it would help grease the wheels on some of these transfers in that we're looking to get. So that's where we're at now. Bolt says he's looking forward to going on Sunday to get some idea of how we're going to shape up. Me too, man. It's going to be intriguing, and I'm hopeful that we're going to have one or two more players in that we can talk about prior to that, but we shall see how we go. So beyond that, the other sort of topic of discussion in terms of outgoings is Diamande, interest in Besiktas, 10 to 12 million euros. So that's still ongoing as well. Again, I think for me, Sheryl, it's a tricky one, because he's a player who I think has got a lot of potential and could go on to good things with us. But other side of the coin, he has been inconsistent with us at times, especially against lower league teams, less involved, less motivated. This might be a case of take the money. This is the good time to go for it.
Yeah, that's exactly what I had actually put in my notes, Andrew. I think in Europe and in the Old Firm games, I think he's been really, really good. But I think kind of domestically, I wouldn't say struggled. I just say, like you said, I think he's been quite inconsistent. However, you then look at games like the away game in January at Tannadice, where he was absolutely superb. He really was. He was absolutely brilliant. But I don't think we see that enough. And I think, what did we get him for? 4 million? I think if we're talking about, I don't know, what was it, between 10 and 12 million euros that Besiktas are interested in or offering for him, I think you take their hand off for that. I don't know if Rothwell was a kind of replacement for him, maybe brought in to have that partnership with Raskin if Diomande does move on. So if he does, yeah, he would go with my best wishes. I like you say, yeah, he's been great in some matches, but just a wee bit inconsistent in others. I think he's a fantastic player, and I do think he'll be one that will go on to really, really good things, and we'll remember him with fondness.
Yeah, for sure. Kenny, I mean, again, Diomande and Hamza, both young players, relatively speaking, with potential. But if we're being offered these kind of sums for them, it would be silly not to take that.
Yeah, it would be silly not to take that kind of money. However, what I would say to you is that for me, Diomande should be valued more than Hamza Egerman at the minute. If you're looking at 17 million for Hamza Egerman, then I would be looking for at least similar for Diomande. And people might disagree with that. My point would be that he's an international player. He's slightly older. He's far more progressed in terms of the advancement of his career. And for me, I really like him as a player, and I do understand. Sheryl, you said it as well. He's just kind of disappeared out of games domestically at times. I just feel that sometimes last season, I think you could just tell the absolute frustration at times from him, and he was running about, and I don't think Philippe Clement helped him very much, and I don't think he helped Nico Raskin very much either in terms of how open our midfield was and how much running they had to do. And I do think that somebody like Joe Rothwell has just come in would actually really help the two of them. If he stays, I'd be more than happy for that to happen. However, as I say, that's the kind of way I'm looking at it is, well, if you're looking at 17 and perhaps only going to take 10 or 12 for Diomande, I think that's slightly back to front. And it's just me, as I say, I think the potential that Hamza Egerman has is through the roof. I've said it already. I think he's playing at maybe 35-40% of what he's actually capable of. If you can progress that boy to the maximum potential that he clearly has, I think France is a great place for him to play. However, I also believe that England would be a good place for him to play as well. I think it was a lot harder in that league because the defenders are much quicker and much more difficult to get past with a flick of a trick. How, again, that is the thing that I would look at and say that there's rumours that he's in France. There's rumours that he's agreed a deal with this. The only issue I have with all of this at this minute in time is when I looked it up, I think Lille's record transfers only about 13-14 million euros. They haven't, so they are going flat out to get this. If they're offering, or if Rangers are looking for 15, they're going to have to break their own transfer record. And I might be slightly wrong, and that might be £1 million that I've read it thinking about it, but it is capping out at their maximum transfer that they've ever paid for. So that'll be interesting to see how that unfolds over the next few days. But it's got the stink of a Cyril Dessers to Ajax Athens about it at the minute. Going to get it on, going to move this forward. Just get on with it. If he's moving, just get it done, and we can just move ourselves into a position where we can concentrate in the future. Because it's just, I just find the day in, day out, almost like an hourly update of what's happening on social media as tedious as watching white paint dry. It's just terrible. I just wish I'd get a move on with it. That's where I'm at. But however, on the Diomande thing, I'd be looking for more money.
I mean, yeah, it's Rangers. We want 12 signings. We want them yesterday. One signing today is simply not good enough, lads. We need more to be happening, obviously. We've got a couple more rumours kicking around, and it's worth going to sort of cover those and let you guys know what the latest is. One that we know is concrete in terms of the interest that we have, Samuel Bellet from Basel. He's a forward slash right winger. I think what we've got Zurich on loan from Como.
Yeah,
Cheryl,
he's at Zurich just now, but he's on loan from Como. 29 appearances, 3 goals, 2 assists, and not that it means anything to me, but his XG is 2.90.
I mean, sounds wonderful.
There you
Wonderful to me. As Kenny was saying earlier, we need right wingers. Well, we need wingers in general, right? And potentially we're going to need some strikers if we're going to sell a couple. So, again, smart prospect, right? 24, much older.
Oh, much older. Getting on, you can't call him young. Definitely not. Listen, God help us if you can't call somebody that's 23 young. But no, I get it in terms of the squad and young players and development, etc. But no, just to go back to what Kenny said, I kind of second his thoughts on the thing with Igaman and with Dessers as well. We really need to get this moving. If, like I believe, and I think a few other people believe, that we're waiting for Turgeman off the back of what happens with these guys. And as we said earlier in the pod as well, poor Danilo looks like his time on earth might be through, going on those training videos. So we really need to get a wee bit of movement on that as soon as possible to get moving with our strikers as well. Can I go back? Right? Can I take us slightly off piste? We spoke about Sal Bibo earlier, the new goalkeeping coach, just to see you guys' thoughts on whether there would be a new goalkeeper for him to work with, because I know there's massive issues that are being addressed in defence and midfield and hopefully strikers as well, but I had wondered about the possibility of getting somebody else in. If you look at Butland last season, he kind of finished up as our number one, but then we had Kelly, good goalkeeper. I don't think he's our number one moving forward, and I just don't know if too many people, perhaps like myself, for me, Butland's made too many mistakes, and I think we could go, we could have the sort of clean slate for him this season. But I think that was 5 or 6 really, really big mistakes that he made. That we've seen it at St Mirren, we've seen it down at Old Trafford as well. What's your thoughts, gents?
No, I think that's a fair point, Cheryl. For me, at least, Butland made so many mistakes last season, like consistently. It was game by game he was making something that was costing us. And the problem is, when you're a goalkeeper and you make mistakes, it usually costs you a goal. It's not like if you're a midfielder or a striker where you make a mistake and you might not score or something like that. We already have a couple of players who will do that kind of thing for us. When Butland was making mistakes, it was costing us severely because we weren't as prolific as we should have been. And so we were losing that key goal. And that was really costly to us. With Liam Kelly, I think he's a fine keeper, but I don't know if he's the required quality for Rangers. So it's a difficult one. We haven't had any rumours of goalkeepers being linked so far, so I don't know if it's a position that's being looked at as a priority. I think for our squad at least, if you look at the kind of priority areas, goalkeepers probably less than pretty much any outfield position at the moment. But nonetheless, I think it is probably going to be something that's going to be worth looking at. But Kenny, I don't know what your thoughts are.
It was more than 5 or 6 mistakes. It was 15 or 16, if you're being honest about it. There was just so many bad errors. And I've already said many, many times, I really like Jack Butland as a goalkeeper. I was really excited about him coming up. I thought that he will be a top signing for us. And really he made a mistake just before a couple of weeks before the cup final. It might have been against Motherwell or something like that, if I remember right. But from that cup final on, he's just made really fundamental errors that it's difficult because every football player makes errors, but your goalkeeper, when he makes an error, it's a big one. And there's an awful lot of water under the bridge with that because people were getting really, really frustrated to the point where, as you both say, that Barry Ferguson ended up having to drop him. Didn't have any choice, really, because the crowd, there was a game, that might have been Motherwell again, if I remember right, at Ibrox, where he was just horrific. He was genuinely horrific. And that's the problem. The way Russell Martin wants to play, by all accounts, he'll play with a sweeper keeper. And unless Jack Butland is prime Jack Butland from the first 6 months he was here, where he's, to be fair, his footwork and his passing was very decent in the first few months. Apart from that, it's not been. In fact, it's terrible since, and that's a concern, with the way we want to play. Is there bigger priorities? I'm actually not so sure. I think when you look at it, there's every single position, perhaps with the exception of Nico Raskin, is a bit of a concern. So we just need improved all over the pitch. There is a reason we finished 17 points behind and didn't win a trophy last season, and it's because we weren't good enough. I know we got in the final of the League Cup fight, and we're very unfortunate in that. However, there's only 4 games to play to get to that. So over the grand scheme of that last season, we were a mile away from being a decent side. But you can't have Jack Butland as your second choice goalkeeper. That's the problem. Not in the money he's on, and he's in a fortune. He's in a lot of wages for us to be paying out for anybody. So I would expect if Russell Martin has somebody in mind, I don't think Jack Butland would be too difficult to get dispensed of, if you like. I think there's that many clubs in England that need English goalkeepers because of they've got to have X amount of English players in their squads, don't they? In both the top leagues now, I think, as well. I think the Championships is bringing that in the summer as well. They've got to have X amount of English players. So, difficult one. I'd be sad to see him go as a kind of model professional, but in terms of his form, no, he's been miles off it. So it will remain to be seen what Russell Martin does with him. But I've got a sneaky feeling he'll go, actually.
It's a long old transfer window, right? We're not going to be done, unfortunately, with the first game that we play. It's going to go on, I think, until end of August, right? So I'm making that up. So there's going to be lots of twists and turns going forward before we get to, probably not even the final desired version of the squad. But I think it's inevitable that will be players that we want to get rid of that we don't, because it's not Football Manager. You can't have that clean break, unfortunately. But I think an interesting point as well, thanks for that, Kenny, that Scott made was, he made mistakes, but look at the defence in front of him. And I think that's an absolutely reasonable comment, because I think we had something like 17 different defensive combos last season. I think any keeper would struggle with that kind of turnover in front of them. A couple more rumours that we want to go through before we finish up tonight. Ishe Samuel Smith, a 19-year-old left-back, so that's definitely a young player for me. He can also play at centre-back, so great news there. And started at Everton, moved to Chelsea in July 2023 for £4 million, 31 appearances, 2 goals, 3 assists. Capped for England under 15 to under 19, 21 appearances there and 1 goal. And was in the under 17s Euro 2023 team of the tournament. Thank you so much for putting us together, Sheryl. Again, a player who can fill out multiple roles in our defence. And a young player. I think the only concern for me is that he's English, and therefore he's going to add about £5 million to any potential transfer fee for him.
Yeah, I believe from what I was able to find out this afternoon, though, he is very, very highly thought of down at Chelsea. For all it matters at the moment, they see him as absolutely one for the future. So it might just be a wee loan out to get some experience out here, to get him some first team experience, few games under his belt, season or 2 up here, and then take him back to Chelsea, probably sell him on for tens of millions of pounds elsewhere when they decide they don't want anything to do with him. But do you know what? If he can do a job, fill in a couple of different positions in defence as well, I'm all for it. We started, I think, the close season talking about shoehorning Tav into centre-back. So for me, this is a far preferable option. Somebody that's somebody that's young, somebody that's coachable, get a wee bit of experience. Yeah, absolutely.
Kenneth?
This one is really quite different, isn't it? Because by all accounts, he is really highly quoted down there. They really do fancy this boy as a player. And I know that he has interest from Sunderland, I think it is, as well, who have just come up. He's got interest from Middlesbrough. He's got interest from us. I think there's a few others. So a lot of that will depend on where Chelsea actually think he's probably at in terms of his development. If they don't think he's a Premier League player or a Premiership player at the moment, that will probably help us in terms of perhaps being able to bring him in, because I don't think he's played at all for Chelsea's first team yet. Am I right, Sheryl? I don't think he has. And that's quite interesting, because they will kind of throw kids in the likes of the Conference League last season and stuff like that. So maybe he's not quite as far advanced as some of the others, maybe at 19, 20 that they have down there. But they've got about 40,000 players at Chelsea. So, and none of them are bad players. That's the crazy thing about it. They are all good players. But by all accounts, as I say, he is very highly regarded by everybody down there. So again, the right profile, and would be a bit of a coup if we could bring him up here for a year, actually, because by all accounts, forget they rate him. By all accounts, he's a really good player, and Everton were gutted to lose him as well. So an interesting turn of events, that one.
Yeah, I mean, I think if it's a loan, which would make sense given it's Chelsea and the wages likely going to be silly, it makes sense to, again, similar to Cherney, get a player who's a little bit above where we could afford to get a permanent player in, covers a position, and means that we don't have to worry about it for this season at least. You can cover plenty of other positions in theory without having to worry about that. So it would make sense. Again, it's only rumour and speculation at this point, but we'll of course keep you guys up to date with what we hear. Final rumour of the evening: Nasser Dija, year-long loan from Wolves, no option to buy, is the rumour going around. 22-year-old, so getting back up there again, Sheryl, ancient even. From Burkina Faso, which I found a fascinating country. Centre-back, he joined Wolves for 10 million quid from Red Star in February 2025. So, again, would make sense that it would be a loanee. 27 appearances, 3 goals. Wolves, 6 appearances and 0 goals. So, yeah, looking to get this guy out playing and, hopefully doing some good work for us in theory.
Yeah, kind of similar to Samuel Smith at Chelsea. I believe that Wolves are very, very keen on him. They paid quite a lot for him, but he has limited time there, and they're very keen to get him out for a year. There's no option to buy with this. They don't want to put him out permanently. They just want him to get a wee bit of game time, and I think they see us as an excellent opportunity to get him out, to get him some experience possibly in Europe as well, and get him playing regularly. And it's difficult because you don't want to go down the route of having loads of loan players, but I think we kind of need to accept where we are at the moment, that like we've touched on, we need almost a whole team replaced. So I think with that in mind, we have to accept that some of those, quite a few of those, are going to be loan deals until we can get that balance of getting in permanent players over a few transfer windows, maybe 2 or 3, till we actually get the starting 11 in the main with permanent players that we want. So whilst it's not ideal, I don't actually have a huge problem with situations like this of getting loan players in if Russell Martin and the team around him, they'll have done their homework on these players, and they know, that they can hit the ground running, that they'll have the mettle and the kind of toughness to be able to come up here and play in the Scottish League. Because as we've said, gents, that's where so many of our current squad or last year's squad have fallen down. So yeah, I don't have a problem with this at all.
I just think that when you look at this boy, if he was to come up for the season, he'd have no problem playing at Ibrox. Red Star is one hell of an atmosphere and an environment to play your football. And as Sheryl says, again, very, very highly regarded. And I did actually watch certainly the highlights, but I'm sure I watched 1 or 2 of the Red Star games over the last couple of years, because he's got quite a bit of Champions League experience. I think he's got about 16, 17 games or something like that, including the qualifiers. And you have to be a decent player to play for that club, that's for sure, because that's not an easy environment to play football. So it wouldn't faze him at all coming here. Again, it's just one of those that, you're talking about loans, and I'm not sure how many loans we're going to bring in. I was talking to my son about this, thinking, there's another loan getting, and he went, yeah, but we've only actually got one loan in so far. He said, and you don't know if there's a kind of thing in their mind that they'll bring 2, 3, maybe 4 loans, and it allows them to go and slightly overspend in certain positions that they actually know we need real quality in. And it kind of hints, as I say, about this spine, doesn't it? Where, Connor Cody, if he was to come, he's not going to come cheap, even if it's a decent enough transfer fee for us. He's going to be a fortune. He's in a lot of money, so that's going to cost. The likes of the boy Turgaman's going to cost a few quid. So it might well be that they're actually highlighting areas that they know they're going to spend the majority of their budget on, maybe 3, 4, 5 players, and they're going to wheel and deal slightly.
Yeah, again, I don't think it's going to be we're doing this entire squad change just on loans. And I don't think it's going to be just transfers either. It's going to be a combination. I think that's a necessity, unfortunately, to try and get as many quality players in as you can. Thanks, Dad, for that comment. I'm always learning from you. Thank you. It's been a pleasure talking with you folks tonight. Sheryl, Kenny, always appreciate you guys joining me, and Sheryl in particular. Good to see you, because it's been a while since we've been on a pod together. Kenny, I see you all the time, so it's less fun, but it's still good. I want to do a huge shout out to everyone who's watching. 4,649 of you are watching right now across Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. Yeah, that's probably the third one. It's amazing consistently the amount of support and the amount of love that you guys show us. Genuinely can't thank you enough. We encourage you to sign up for subscriptions just to the channel. That's free, doesn't cost you anything. If you can, join up as a member. That helps finance, all the things that we want to do, live shows, trips around, and some more live content as well. I think it's long overdue for a little Spice Challenge, Kenny. And we need to get people like Sheryl involved in that as well, for sure. So, yeah, again, we cannot thank you enough, but I want to thank my 2 lovely co-hosts as well. First of all, Sheryl, always a pleasure, my friend. Thank you again.
Lovely. Thank you for having me back. I'm not normally with you on a Wednesday, so I usually do maybe a wee Friday, so a wee bit different. Thank you.
Yeah. I'm never normally here on Wednesday as well. It's only because we've got that slacker Stevie. Someone's got to fill in for him, And Kenny, my friend, always a pleasure. And here's hoping that we've got even more to talk about come Friday.
Yeah, normally I look pretty decent on a Wednesday because it's just me and wee Stevie, 2 baldies, and putting my head to shame here. But no, listen, thank you very much, Sheryl. Sheryl has done the agenda tonight, haven't you? And it was brilliant. And mine was better than mine are, so you can carry on. Thanks for having me on, Andrew. Thoroughly enjoyed that, and thanks for stepping in.
Hey, it's all fun and all good, and hey, I do this for the fun. Steve doesn't give me any money for this kind of nonsense anyway, so yeah, it's always good to chat to you guys out there. We appreciate all the feedback and responses. The fact that we've got you guys in the comments chatting away is wonderful. I really love the little community that we've got growing on here. So truly appreciate it. It makes these far more fun to do, especially when Rangers are making us less than happy. But can you tell who's got control over the comments right now? It's interesting, isn't it? Folks, we love you guys. We appreciate you so much, and we will be back with you, I believe, on Friday. We might get Stevie to do some work and get him to host a podcast for a change. Why not? Do a little treat for him when he's back from his holidays. So until we talk to you again, folks, we appreciate you as ever, and bye for now.
Lads podcast is sponsored by Rhino Express, Clydeview Joinery, Athol Industrial Solutions Limited, and CSD Air Conditioning, in partnership with Black Rooster and Art of Gold. Thank you for listening to or watching the podcast. We hope you enjoyed the show.